What is your name, what are your pronouns, and what are you going to talk about today?
I'm Becky Binns. I'm Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Education. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here to talk about imposter syndrome and confidence.
Could you please give us an imposter syndrome 101?
Imposter syndrome is, so I'm told, where people, for example, walk into a room and they don't know if they're in the right place or if they don't deserve to be there, where they're in a meeting and they're asked for their opinion and they don't think their opinion carries weight, where they feel they've been promoted to a job that they don't deserve. For me, it's where a person has doubts about their self-worth, usually professionally, and it's where they have insecurities that manifest themselves in a way that they don't speak, or they're unsure about whether they have the right or the permission or have the empowerment to be able to express perfectly valid opinions.
Has imposter syndrome affected you personally or affected your career, and if not, why?
I've never had imposter syndrome, and it goes back to being brought up by two incredibly generous, self-affirming parents, going to ballet class, begging to go to ballet class when I was 7 and constantly being a performer. I had an amazing drama teacher at secondary school who I had to do the narration for a nativity, and we went down to the church and Max, my drama teacher, sat right at the back and said, "Rebecca Huxley, slower, project." And we were there for hours as I learned how to project and how to perform. It never occurred to me that when I was doing the real thing, the whole church, which I later got married in, would be full of people. But because I'd rehearsed and rehearsed, it just felt right. And it always felt right to be able to be your authentic self, living as big as you can in the world, because nobody has ever put any doubt in my mind that I'm in the right place, even if I'm in the wrong place. I just ask, and if I'm in the wrong place, I laugh and I walk off. No harm, no foul.
How could the people around you and the university do better or help more with things like imposter syndrome and confidence?
We need to recognise that it exists, and we need to openly talk about imposter syndrome. We also need to make sure we've got mentors in the university who will talk with people and affirm them all the time. Give the affirmation. If someone's got a brilliant idea, acknowledge it, celebrate it, and never pass someone else's good idea off as your own, because that leads to feelings of lack of self-worth in the other person, and it's rude. We're working really hard with our students. We've got the charity Grit who come in, who do these incredible sessions with our students about feeling a sense of belonging, a sense of community, searching your authentic self and saying, I'm a bit wobbly, everybody will be thinking differently to me, and then you talk with people and find out they're feeling exactly the same. They've got exactly the same, or perhaps different challenges, but they're equivalent to, but talking with each other about it, and always affirming the brilliance of our colleagues and of each other, because maybe we shouldn't need external validation, but my goodness, it makes a difference when we get some.
What advice would you give to someone suffering from imposter syndrome?
Because I've never had imposter syndrome, I don't know how to advise someone to overcome it, because when I see myself in the mirror, I think, yeah, you're in the right place, you're doing all the right things. You may make mistakes, but my goodness, we don't have to be perfect to be human. Some self-reflection, I think. We are our own experiences. So currently I'm in the middle of working very hard to a tight deadline, and I've done that before. So whenever I get a bit wobbly and stressed and overworked, I remember I've written and edited 5 different textbooks, and I know I always had a meltdown near the deadline time, and I know I had a wobble that I'm going to miss the deadline. I never did. I never will. I will schedule these things in so that when I get the wobbles and when I get the doubts, I remember to reflect on the fact that I've done it before, which means I can do it again. The best advice I can give is you're not in the wrong place. You are good enough for the job you do. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and tell yourself that. Although, I've got a little anecdote if we have a moment. I used to teach law, and one of the exercises we do in law is mooting, and you're standing on your hind legs and you're presenting to court. And we were practicing in one particular group, and I had a young student, it was her turn to do a practice moot. She had to stand up and present. And she was shaking, and she just looked at me and she said, I don't think I can do it. I'm really nervous. And I said, what can I do to make you feel better? And she got off a chair and she poddled round to me at the front of the class and whispered, can I pretend to be you? I said, of course you can. Thank you. As if I had to give permission. I really didn't. And she poddled back and she took a deep breath and stood up and absolutely hit it out of the park. It was the best presentation, to the point the whole seminar group cheered and clapped at the end, and she blushed and she was so happy. And I said, what was that? She said, that was me doing you. And I said, for the rest of your life, honey, whenever you feel a bit nervous, stand up and be me. And then someone else in the class said, have you ever been shy? I said, oh, I don't know. I don't remember it. I had my mobile phone next to me, and I picked up the phone and went, I'll just ask my mum. Mum, have I ever been shy? And she said, and I quote, you had a very funny 3 weeks when you were 5. And that was the end of any imposter syndrome that I had. I presume I was trying to be cute and coy. It didn't stick. I have no coyness in me at all. So live it big, live it large, and do not doubt yourself.
Is there anything else you would like to say, or anything else you would like anyone to know about imposter syndrome and confidence?
Yes, there is. I received the most delightful email in February from Desiree Betts, who works in health sciences, who'd watched a previous human library video that I did with Sarah Donkin. And she took the time out of her day, and I shall be forever grateful, Desiree. Thank you so much. And she'd had a conversation with someone who'd recently joined the university about imposter syndrome, and Desiree didn't know the term. She came from business, and since she's been at the university, she's learned basically that it's embedded across the university sector. And she articulated a very gentle rebuttal to imposter syndrome. And I'm going to quote her with her permission. Imposter syndrome is one of those terms where someone has taken a natural process that's part of something positive and constructive and given it a term with a negative connotation. There's a TED talk that touches on imposter syndrome. Essentially, the speaker says that if you experience the feeling of imposter syndrome, all it means is you are growing. So, like nerves are simply your body and brain preparing to perform at their peak. It's your sense of self-adjustment to your own personal growth and professional progression. You've been feeling the fear, and you've done it anyway. When I say I don't have imposter syndrome, don't think that I'm always full of confidence and bluster. I get nervous, I get excited, and I know that the adrenaline is coursing through my body whenever I'm going to do a video or talk to one of our local colleges or talk to colleagues. Those are the nerves, that's the adrenaline, and the adrenaline is helping the oxygen get to my brain so I don't stumble over my words and so that I can perform at my best, because audiences deserve the best performance we can give.